Da-da-da. All right. We are live, officially live. So
Go.
I'll go ahead and do the intro. I'm Garrett. I am at your local tax guy, partner, Game On Financial. And I also have with me.
Yep. My name is Joseph Lingle. I'm manager here at Game On Financial. We are hopping on podcast episode number 2.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of juicy things to talk about today.
Yeah. So Game On Financial, we service content creators, gamers, all the like. We do accounting, back office needs, stuff like that. The good old fun stuff that nobody else wants to do. So we have a lot of topics today. A lot more than obviously a lot more than we had on our first podcast. We were just winging it. I feel like we're still just winging it, but we definitely have a lot. But a lot of the content actually came to us because there's just been so much going on with Twitch, with creators specifically, with the CDL and Call of Duty League, with new game releases, and all kinds of stuff. Esports orgs, we got all kinds of topics. So I'll turn it over to Joseph.
Garrett. No, before we hop in, there's been so much crazy stuff happening this week. I don't even feel like I've talked to you about a lot of it. I feel like now that we're starting these, it's a good thing to almost not talk about them so that we can just talk about them on here. But,
talk about them like our actual first impressions compared to what we talk about every day. Well,
exactly, man. Exactly. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And one topic we're not going to talk about today, but I know that's been near and dear to your heart this past week is Diablo. How's that been? You've been grinding.
Well, yeah, I don't want to talk about it too heavily, but yeah, new game release. I don't normally play like ARPG stuff like that. I normally first person shooters, but dude, it's been fun. I've been hooked. The storyline, just the game in general and how it's like progressed. And like, I'm kind of a competitive person. So within my friend group, we're all trying to like level and max up stuff. And I don't know, it's a different kind of competition. It's not first person shooter. It's not nearly as, competitive from game to game. It's more of like overall who can put the time in and level up. And it's just been fun. Like, it's been a nice break.
Let's be honest. You switched because you were tired of getting smoked in 1v1s with me. That's what it was.
Well, I'm always tired of that, but that's not why I switched. I think I needed a break in general because I was getting played out. And I will say, like, it was bad timing because like I just started playing a lot of Apex. We had kind of picked it up. Just Call of Duty had gotten stale, which it always does around this time of year anyway. The CDL is finishing up. So rank play is not as fun as it was at first launch. It's still fun. I would enjoy playing multiplayer right now, actually, but Warzone ranked is interesting.
We should probably do an episode at some point just on like our like gaming background, like what we like to play and stuff, because I feel like that'd be cool for the viewers to know just like a little bit about us. Because while we are accountants and we do accounting, and that's what Game On Financial is about, we definitely love the game. And I feel like any free time we get, we're playing something. So, and
Joseph and I play quite a bit, so you can probably catch us live at any given time. Like truly playing just raw, and like we're not podcast, no formalization to it. We're just streaming and kind of cutting up. But yeah, I think just gaming in general, that's kind of the state of it right now. Is a lot of the games are in a lull because it's the summertime, and so people are just grinding whatever they're happiest with at this time, waiting for all the new releases to inevitably come down the pipe here. So Diablo was good timing for me. But that being said, like I said, Apex has been a lot of fun as well. I know you've been playing a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, that's just, I fully expect I'll probably be back on an FPS, most likely Apex here shortly. One thing though that is interesting about Call of Duty right now is the World Series of Warzone. In fact, it was awesome to get on there the other day. I was watching Call of Duty. Page was obviously hosting all the games and everything. And
it was yesterday, right?
It was yesterday, and well, they had qualifiers.
We're filming this on June 8th, so yeah, the first stage or stage one or whatever.
Yeah, stage one, not
7th,
yeah. And so stage one was going on, and it was awesome because they actually introduced Codcast in there, and so it like the CDL and everything, you could see third person. Everything that was going on and where the other players were and all that stuff. And that actually made it so much better of a viewing experience than, because I was imagining we just have to watch one player at a time. And, the way these things play out, it's a battle royale. So you're going to, if you get to the wrong player, it's kind of campy, not because they suck or anything, just because that's what it's a battle royale.
Sure.
And I was worried about that. I was like, it's going to be kind of stale. But I tuned in. They had Codcaster on. And fortunately, I got in there when it was like final circle. So it was like crazy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was enjoyable to actually watch. And I haven't been that interested in Warzone lately, but it was fun to catch up and see that. So
yeah, I will say it was cool to see as well. I actually tuned in a little bit yesterday as well, but it is definitely hard to spectate battle royales. And I mean, I think that's probably part of the reason, which we're actually going to probably talk about esports a little bit later in the episode as one of our topics, but is why I think battle royales have struggled in esports a little bit, is because obviously there's the competitive aspect, but the spectating can be very challenging because there could be multiple like pretty interesting engagements happening all across the map. And it's hard to see those all at one time. And like you kind of said, just depending who you're spectating. So no, it's definitely going in the right direction. And I think it's probably good for Warzone and the people that are grinding that right now, the creators that are grinding that, because it gives them something to play for. So
yeah, and a lot of there were a lot of I'm going to say kids, not kids. There were a lot of people who were grinding that are big in the wager scene, but most people probably don't know who they are, but they are very talented players, and they're very well known in the wager scene and stuff like that. So you see like Aiden and Rated and all those guys placing, and those are obviously well-known people, but there were a lot of people, if you look at who all qualified to go to the next round and everything, who were really, really good players, but not as well known. And that's probably huge for them, streaming content and everything, because that's free promotion, and they are very, very good players. Like when you watch them play, it's impressive. They're competing with the best of the best. And I think that's the most fun. That's why everybody loves the CDL, was because, these are the best players within that given, type of game. So obviously this is Battle Royale, this isn't the CDL, but yeah.
Just a heads up before we keep moving. Your title is Diablo 4 right now, and you're playing Diablo 4. You might want to update that, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't I? That's hilarious.
Just maybe hit the update on that one. But no,
I swear I'm a streamer.
Right? No, but we can go ahead and jump into the topics. I know we have kind of a lot we want to go over today. We're probably still going to try to keep it around an hour, but I would not doubt that we go longer than that. So, yeah, as we kind of alluded to at the beginning of the episode today, Garrett kind of alluded to, a lot has happened this week. A lot of content in the scene. It seemed like Tuesday, June 6th, like everything blew up. Tons of stuff happened, not just in the gaming industry, streaming industry, not just in the content creation world that we're in, but also in other areas. So I mean, a topic we probably won't even cover today, but I mean, the PGA and live golf is merging. That's pretty crazy. So there's just a lot that happened this week. So let's kind of hop right in with the big one that I'm sure anybody listening to this live right now or going to listen to this soon this week is going to know about is Twitch. They obviously came out with a huge, another huge bombshell, which they've dropped a lot of stuff recently that, it almost just seems like,
what are we doing?
I can't get it right. But they came out with a big tweet yesterday, talking basically about advertisement updates and how creators can work with their brands. And so yeah, let's kind of dive right into that. Garrett, I'll let you kind of start, and we'll just give our feedback. I know there's probably a lot we can talk about with regards to this and Twitch in general.
Yeah, it's another paring back of things that people were already used to doing. So in this case, having like branded stuff on their stream, that's the whole thing. Is Twitch is basically trying to control branding and paid advertisement and stuff like that. And that doesn't sound so bad at face value, but the thing is I don't think Twitch is truly understanding the scene that they're in. And what I mean by that is, behind the scenes and what's going on, there are agents and brands that are working to get these creators paid because it's good for their brand and whatnot. And Twitch is trying to take control of that. But there's a whole ecosystem already going on behind the scenes, and Twitch is very much just a platform that all of this stuff is happening on. The fact that they're trying to control it, almost, it's an indictment to how, in my opinion, how little they understand their player base, their population, not player base, their population, in the industry itself. I will say, and this is going to be the case with anything we talk about, whether it's Twitch, Kick, anything like that. at the end of the day, if a company is owned by a larger company or it's run by a board, it's run by shareholders, they're going to do whatever's in the best interest for them to profit. And you could take this to any company. The most obvious example probably right now is like all the controversy Bud Light got for their recent promotion. And we don't have to get into all that, but the whole reason for all of that and the whole reason they do anything is for more money. And at the end of the day, if you get to the end of a quarterly call or anything like that, and you're not showing profit, whoever's at the top making the decisions, the CEO, COO, CFO, all these people, they have to report to somebody, and they have to report to the board and the shareholders. Otherwise, they will get fired. I mean, that is just the nature of it. And it's very much the nature of it with Twitch. I think that's why Kick is currently on everybody's mind right now, is because it's very much, I keep wanting to say player owned, because it's not, these aren't just players.
It's a lot more free. They're a lot more free to kind of control their own decisions. And
exactly.
They're doing so. And they're also creator led somewhat. And so they're able to kind of hear the feedback and actually make decisions quicker. I think one thing that you're kind of alluding to that's 100% happening is these people at Twitch, number one, are not the same people that used to be running Twitch. The people that started Twitch have since moved on with the Amazon buyout of them, however many years back that was.
We're getting old. It was a while ago, but it seems like just yesterday to us because we've been in the space so long.
Well, and not only, exactly. But I mean, the way generally those things, kind of work is there's generally, when a buyout happens, a merger happens like that, or a company is acquired, some people obviously are going to leave, but some people are going to stay around. And I think what you've seen over these past few years as that buyout occurred is slowly those people that used to be there, that used to run Twitch, that basically built it to what it was and what it is today, have moved on completely now. And so what you see really with a lot of these changes that we've had in the past year, which, this one was a big bombshell, but honestly, we've had multiple throughout this year and even last year of these same updates that have gotten kind of people on their toes. What the reason behind that ultimately is the high level ownership, and it is Amazon that is kind of, the people running that company that are looking at Twitch as just a small subsidiary saying, you got to make money or you're done. And, I think that ultimately is what is at the bottom of this, with this kind of the line in there that it really scared people, which wasn't necessarily from a creator standpoint. It wasn't the line in the update that said, your branding can only be 3% of your screen. It wasn't the rest of that stuff saying there was going to be an update to that. It was the line in there that basically said Twitch has the exclusive right to display their ads on basically any Twitch services, because not only is that attacking the creator themselves, but it's attacking all the agents that work with these creators. And basically that's how all these creators get paid. Now, obviously, they do have their subscriber revenue from Twitch, which is a whole nother thing with the 50-50 deals. But with ads, I mean, that's how this space really gets paid in general. That's how agents get paid. That's how companies obviously brand and market themselves. And then ultimately the creator at the bottom end is how they get paid. And so that line in that update is what really got people on their heels and saying, whoa, hang on a minute, what does this mean? And while everybody kind of looks at Twitch and kind of, Garrett, what you said is like, they look and say, what is Twitch doing? They must be so out of touch. It's less of that, and it's more of they know what they're doing. They're doing it so that they can get more of a hold on their market and more and see more of those brand deals and more of that brand money than they're currently seeing. I could probably let you speak to this a little bit, but I mean, basically what is currently happening is, you take a third party that is sponsoring a creator, right? Outside of Twitch, and they're bringing them a brand deal and saying, hey, do X, Y, and Z, deliverables for this brand deal. Twitch is seeing none of that money. And if it's being displayed on their stream, obviously Twitch is, wants a cut of that. And they're currently not seeing any of that. And that's how 95% of creators are bringing in money right now that are streaming on Twitch. And so Twitch looks at that and says, we want our cut. That's basically what this update is. And so it's, you have to look at it from both angles. Obviously, Twitch is a business, but it's not a good look for them whenever they've already kind of pushed some people to the edge, and then now they're trying to get even more of a stranglehold over their market that is already kind of unhappy with them.
Yeah. I like that, what you just said about,
You there?
yeah. Can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I think it's my audio. You go ahead. You keep going.
No, yeah, okay. So I think what Joseph's alluding to is definitely important, and I hope he can get it squared away just so that we get this part, because I want him to be able to speak to this. But if we take a step back and look at Twitch as a whole and say, okay, Twitch is the only player in the market, and right now they are the biggest player in the market, but let's say they're the only player, and they come out and they're brand new and they say, you know what, a 50-50 split seems fair. If any creators want that, come stream on our platform. And if they're the only platform, creators are going to look at that and say 50-50, that sounds pretty dang good, let's do that. And then they introduced the 70-30. And then they paired back the 70-30. And the thing about that is that would be okay if they were the only player in the market. They're not. Kick is out there. Kick's coming out 95% share or rev share. And then YouTube. All right, good. So you can hear me now?
Yep.
Awesome. So basically what I was saying is if Twitch was the only player on the market, they could get away with this, and it wouldn't be so much as getting away with it as they're doing everybody a favor by offering a platform for people to truly stream and do all this. The thing is, they're not the only player on the market. YouTube's coming out. YouTube's doing 70-30, and then you've got Kick doing 95-5. You had Facebook doing 100% of what you earn, which is ridiculous. Like Mixer, I don't even know what Mixer split was, but the point being is, when you have all these other platforms who are coming up and trying to do it better and everything, and then Twitch is just going on paring back certain, not rights, but certain, things that creators used to take for granted, apparently, with all the putting brand logos on their stream and stuff like that. Twitch can do that. They have the right to do all these things, but to your point and kind of what you were saying is like, you're doing it with an audience that's already unhappy with you. And this audience now they have other options, whereas before they didn't. Right. So, in the beginning, like I was saying, a 50-50 split is not bad if it's the only thing you can get on the market, right? I mean, if you're going to be a content creator, you want to live stream and that's what you want to do for, with your life, 50-50 is great if they're the only one on the market, but that's not the case.
Yo, shout out Ben in the chat. What's going on, Ben? Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, smash our faces. What's up, Ben?
But yeah, I mean, what you're saying, Garrett, is so true. And here in a second, we're gonna kind of shift into talking about some of those other platforms and Kick specifically, because we've seen a lot of traction there, which is pretty exciting, just because competitors in the space is always a good thing. But just to circle back a little bit to kind of why they did it, we talked about why they did it. What does it look like for creators? What does this mean for creators? How much is this actually going to change stuff for creators on the small, medium, and large scale creators that we work with? I think a lot of what this is not going to affect probably those medium size creators. They're going to kind of slip through with as far as the burn in ad little note in there. They might not even really be doing many of those. They're getting most of their revenue from sponsorships or brand deals that happen kind of outside of Twitch, like we talked about. And then obviously they're still getting their subs, and they have enough viewer count to warrant a lot of other revenue sources besides burn-in ads. Where you see this is going to affect people is going to be two places. One is going to be for events that stream on Twitch, right? So basically anything that is streamed on Twitch that has external ads being run through it, like the CDL, right? That's going to be something that basically can't happen anymore. Or even like the World Series of Warzone, right? If they're streaming that event on Twitch and then they have an ad roll through there that's a separate ad, they're not going to be able to do that either unless it's run through Twitch. So things like that are going to be affected, bigger events. And then also the creators that are maybe co-streaming those events, that they're going to be affected as well, which is something we can talk about a little later on, because we're going to talk about actually the CDL moving to YouTube. But And then obviously any small streamers that are currently running burn-in ads, or maybe have other things associated on their stream that kind of fall in line with this statement that Twitch made. Um, and honestly, it just shows that Twitch doesn't really care about them. I think mainly what this is to target is probably those bigger events, and maybe even those co-streams, because they're just not seeing any of that revenue share. Um, and then the small creators that are affected by this are just kind of an afterthought that doesn't really they just kind of don't really care about.
Yeah. I waver on two different sides here. Because I was telling somebody this the other day. I said it on Big E's podcast, the Kitcast, actually. And I think shout out Kitcast. Yeah, I think there's two things, and I don't know which is right. And I'm going to just put this out there, and you guys can decide. I think a lot of times we put people and organizations on pedestals, and we give them credit and assume that they're smarter than they really are. And so Twitch is doing all this stuff, and you sit there and watch it, and you're like, how could you not see how upset the community is? And it's the same for Activision, dude. Activision, Blizzard, with Call of Duty, and some of the like changes they make, and you know, within the game, and you're like, how could you not see that this is going to like receive a lot of backlash? Like, nobody's going to like this. And so there's that side of like, I think we just assume these corporations and these companies and these people, these higher ups, just know everything. And they actually don't. They're not as smart as we give them credit for being. That being said, there's the other side. And on the other side, it's they know what they're doing. They have the statistics. They have the data. They at least should have the data. You can't tell me Amazon-backed Twitch does not have the data to support the decisions that they're making. And so it becomes then almost more malicious in that they just don't care. It's not that, you know, they're like the community is outraged, this and that, and Twitch isn't listening to them. Is like, yeah, they're not going to. They don't care. It's not about that to them. They're trying to make money, and the best way for them to make money is to control the entire ecosystem of brand deals, brand guidance, all of that stuff. They want to be the ones making all the connections and bringing in all the revenue. And so I don't know where they fall. I don't know if it's true negligence on one side, or if it's that more malicious and they know what they're doing. And that's where I lean to, is they know what they're doing, because it's hard for me to just imagine a world where, you know, they don't have the data and the analytics to back up what they're doing. You don't just do something like this for no reason, right? And knowing it's going to piss off a community, right? You don't just do that. You got to have something that's telling you to do it, right? And so,
yeah, and I think that's where like you can tell that they do know and they don't care, and it ultimately is about the money. I think when you have a company as large as an Amazon, these companies are clearly strictly profit driven. That's what they're about. That's what they always will be about. That's how they got to where they are. And when you have a company like that, that's ultimately that you have to answer to, they don't really care what it is. If there's tens of millions of dollars happening every year through your services that you don't see a dollar of, that's where a company like Amazon stepping in and saying, hey, you need to make a policy change to where we see a piece of this. We need a cut of this. And I think ultimately you kind of see it. It's a pretty arrogant thing for Twitch to even assume that they can take on all these brands that basically, if they weren't working with the creator directly through an agent, they would have to work through Twitch. It's pretty arrogant, because not only does Twitch have certain minimums that you would have to meet if you were going to go directly to them essentially as the agent, but Twitch can't support that. You know, we've seen over the past year, they've had massive layoffs.
They can't even support working with the partners that they have, like the actual content creators. They don't have enough support staff for them.
Right. And so for them to for them to come out and say, I mean, that's what this ultimately is. It's a statement to try to reclaim control over this area of the market. And it's pretty arrogant of them to think that they would even be able to push out any other alternative for brands to work with creators except through them. And then they would even be able to accept that influx and manage that influx. I mean, it's a ton of work. We can talk about agents, and we're probably going to here at the end of today's episode, but running agencies is not easy, and it's a ton of work involved between these creators. You know, if you have a brand that wants to work with 20 creators, there's tons of back end work that goes in with getting that money to the creators, all the contracts that they have to work up, the deliverables, the timings, getting these people paid out on time and all of this stuff. It's not easy. And for Twitch to think that, by basically changing this policy to where they can work with us through Twitch, that they're just going to now all go to Twitch, it's not going to happen like that. And I think a lot of creators probably don't even really understand that that's what this means. I think the agencies definitely do. And some of them have even showed that. There were some that came out after this tweet from Twitch yesterday or Tuesday, however, and basically said, like, if you don't change this, we're not going to be on Twitch anymore. And that's what you're going to keep seeing the more of these changes that they do, because I think they think they have a little more control than they actually do.
Yeah, Asmongold came out. For those who don't know, Asmongold, massive Twitch creator currently, came out and said that he's like, he and his entire group is like, they're out if this doesn't get fixed.
OTK,
yeah, because the thing is with OTK and stuff like that, branding and whatnot on those streams is incredibly important to them. And these are big numbers, big creators. And yeah, you take it so far as like so much further up, like the CDL and stuff like that. Scump, right? Scump. Think about Scump. Like, I mean, this is a perfect example when he's doing the CDL watch parties and stuff like that. He's sponsored by Oakley and all these other people and doing all these shout outs. Like, is Twitch going to come out next and say you can't speak on or refer to any brand deals that didn't come through us? And so
it's pretty crazy. And I mean, I think
it's wild.
I think you did, what we will say is they did walk it back. They came out with another tweet after and basically said,
we have to,
whoa. Yeah, we see the feedback. However, where it was basically left, and I mean, we're recording this podcast 2 days later, so, obviously things could change after we record this, but basically where it was left is, see our updated terms of service, basically, is what it said. And, nothing has really changed. And I think while this may be, okay, we can't phrase it the way we did, they're still going to try this at some point. And, I would say, and we're going to talk about it here in a minute about other platforms, but I would say to the creators, this is kind of an opportunity to start looking elsewhere. I don't think Twitch, to your point, Garrett, about us putting people on a pedestal or companies on a pedestal, I don't think Twitch is that, king that we make it out to be. And, I think it can be scary for some creators to make change, and really people in general don't like change, but I think this may be a sign for some people. And honestly, we saw a lot of people responding on Twitter and tweeting yesterday about how, maybe they're going to make the move. I think Kig actually tweeted today or yesterday that they broke their 24-hour record of signups or whatever it was. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm recording this on Twitch. Shout out,
Yep.
I will say that I was skeptical of Kick, and I don't know, Joseph, if you're going to transition to the other platforms now or
yeah, sure.
But I will say, shout out to Kick for what they're attempting to do. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know how this all plays out. I'm not a fortune teller, but let's
talk about Kick a little bit.
They saw a problem and they're trying to fix it. And I can respect that. I can appreciate that. They're trying to get the creators paid. They're starting there. Now, that doesn't mean that in the future they won't do the same thing. They may pare things back, because in the beginning, everything's great. And that's why I think a lot of people are skeptical, is because Kick's just starting out. Is there the longevity that you're going to hope to see from a platform like that? Do people want to move over to Kick just to have to move back over to Twitch later on? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm not concerned with that at all, because I think you run into that issue with any new platform. But so far, of all the new platforms that have launched, Kick seems to be the one that cares the most about the creators. Now, is it the Wild Wild West over there still? Yes, in a lot of ways, but I can forgive that. That's fine, because they are brand new. They're trying to figure this out. I can appreciate the fact that they're even being so new, or even having been doing this for like a couple months now, they're constantly raising the bar. Like, even saying, coming out yesterday, I was very impressed when they came out and said, if you're trying to get out of that Twitch affiliate contract, we'll pay the $25 fee, which, by the way, that is BS right there. Is like, Twitch, as soon as it was stated, like, a bunch of people are going to leave and all this backlash happened, Twitch comes out and says $25 to get out.
That actually isn't true. That's been in the contracts for a long time. That was something that came out, was
But it was pointed out.
surfaced. It was surfaced and it
Yeah.
was shown that, but that's actually been in the affiliate and partner contract for like years. So
And
that's not,
and
it's
20
not new.
and $25 isn't like a huge deal. Like, it's whatever on a per creator basis. Like, I'm technically a Twitch affiliate, so for me to get out $25, whatever, you know. The thing is like Kick came out and said, "Hey, we'll pay the 25 for you."
Right.
That $25 only affects small creators. That's it. It's not going to affect Asmongold and all these other people. They don't care. Whatever. Well, they're partners. They're not affiliates. But if you're an affiliate and you're trying to get out of the $25, it could be a big deal. I've worked with a lot of creators who that $25 might be a big deal to them, just to have to get out, like literally just to leave the platform. Kick said, you know what, we'll pay it. That shows.
Not only did they say that, they said that they were even going to probably start a program where they're going to be paying people like something like $16
an hour, yeah,
to stream. Now I'm sure that just applies to certain viewership counts and stuff like that, and it's not going to be applicable to everyone. There's going to be certain thresholds you have to meet, but that's pretty crazy. And like you said, I think they're definitely capitalizing on it. One thing I want to kind of dive into with Kick, we obviously can talk about YouTube here in a minute too, but like for the people that don't really know what is Kick or what's going on with Kick, I know me and you are somewhat familiar with it, but Kick is just to give those people who are unsure. Kick's obviously a brand new streaming platform, as we just talked about, but they're backed by basically by this guy named Eddie, and he is associated with Stake, which Stake is a gambling company, obviously a very, very large gambling company. And I think that's where a lot of people, when it originally started, kind of had some drawbacks because they kind of didn't know what that meant. And really at the beginning of Kick, a lot of the people on Kick were basically just people that were banned on Twitch. Because as Garrett said, when they're brand new, they don't have as much TOS, they don't have as much rules. And so they basically, it was the Wild Wild West and still kind of is. And, you know, some of that will get geared back as they grow because, you know, as you just grow, you're going to get on people's radar. You're going to get on the government's radar, and you're going to have to enforce DMCA and these other things. But I think where Kick has seen their growth from is not only, okay, we're going to offer you 95% splits on your subs, on your subscriptions, but they really are creator led. You know, you have people like Trainwreck, who, if you don't know who Trainwreck's TV is, look him up on Twitter. He's a giant creator. One
of the biggest on Twitch before leaving, like massive creator.
He has ownership in Stake. He also has ownership in Kick, and he's one of the main people that has really pushed it. He's also one of the main people that has made some decisions over there. And I think that's where you hinted to earlier, Garrett, in the episode, creator led. You know, that's where they're seeing a lot of their growth. And so, yeah, I mean, I think there's huge pros for Kick right now for people switching from Twitch. Obviously, with all this Twitch stuff, they're getting a lot of people just switching over instantly. That being said, there is some cons. Obviously, with it being a new platform, discoverability is not great. People don't have, you know, maybe people don't have a login for Kick like they do for Twitch. And so, you know, maybe they just don't even watch you because you switched, or they don't know you switched. With the advertising and the brand deals over there, it's pretty much non-existent right now. There's not a lot of brands working with Kick because of what we said, because of it being the Wild Wild West. Brands, you know, brand risk and stuff, they just don't know about it. And so, you know, the other main thing that I think creators who have an established platform have to kind of question with platforms like Kick is the same thing that we saw with Mixer. Is it going to be around? If I shift my 10,000 viewer stream or my 5,000 viewer live stream that brings me X number of dollars per month to Kick, yes, I'm going to get higher sub count revenue. You know, maybe some of the ad stuff goes away, but in 3, 4, 5, 8 months, in a year, is Kick even going to be here? And that can be scary for creators. And I think that's where you've seen a lot of people with the drawbacks to it. That being said, you know, 10K subs on Twitch versus 10K subs on Kick is quite the substantial difference in income. So my thing would be, whether it's going to be around or not, I would say get it while the getting's good, because they're offering some pretty crazy splits.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm impressed because in the beginning, it's like, how sustainable is this? But continuously raising the bar. You know, like I said earlier, it's the $25 thing is the most impressive because, again, it doesn't affect big creators. That's taking care of small creators. That's literally like, we truly care about you coming over to our platform. well, whatever we need to do to get you there. If it's that $25, we got you. You know, come over to our platform and try it out. And for the people who stream and they only have like 100 viewers, you know, not 5,000, not 10,000 followers, whatever, 50 to 100 concurrent viewers, you might be looking at getting paid $16 an hour. You might be looking at the $25 waiver, and now you're getting a bigger sub split. You know, when you factor all those things in, that could dramatically increase somebody's income who is just starting out and they're going from maybe making like $6,000 a year, right? $500 a month from Twitch to, you know, $12,000-$15,000 a year all of a sudden. Like, that doesn't sound like it. Are you living off that? No, probably not. But that's a huge jump and a huge like boost to your,
well, especially too if some of your revenue on Twitch was from those burn-in ads or working with certain brands that you're not going to be able to even do anymore.
Yep. And if you think about it, you know, we talk about it within the firm. It's within our firm is like, if we raise our rates, that buys us a lot of options to do better work for the clients that we are serving. So if
you're buying yourself time,
you're buying yourself. It's not just buying staff. It's buying better staff. It's buying better equipment, being able to do the job faster, more efficiently. With a bigger sub split, if you're getting that money, you are buying yourself more time to do more things. Maybe, you know, you need that editor, but where you're at in Twitch right now, if you could replicate that onto Kick and maybe even lose a little bit, you could lose 10% of your following. If you go to Kick, you're still going to make more money. You're still going to make more money and a lot more money. And now you can get that editor or whatever it is to push your content that much further. I think that it's huge, and I'm still so impressed with Kick's willingness to do whatever it takes to get people over there. Coming in, dropping 100 subs, right? The owners are doing that on random streams. Big creators, small creators, just dropping 100 gifted. Is that going to go on forever? Probably not. Like that seems a bit ridiculous to think it's going to go on forever, but it does show that the people who own it are putting their money where their mouth is. You tell me the last time somebody from Twitch came through and literally just dropped 100 gifted. Uh-oh. Am I losing you?
My internet's cutting in and out. You're good.
Yeah. Oh, I was losing you on Discord and I was like, oh man, this is worse. Losing the stream is one thing, but
yeah, you're good.
Yeah. I was reading chat. I appreciate you, Rhett and Jake, for coming through. Jake said they're going to pay me $16 an hour. That's awesome. You know, like, that's awesome. That's truly awesome. That's literally a consideration. People are like, 16 an hour. Like, I might do that. Like, I might actually do that. Because for a side gig, if you're meeting the minimum requirements, why not do it now, right? And you're growing your own personal brand and all that, which is massive. Right. You know, so yeah, I'm very impressed. There are cons, definitely cons, but still very impressive.
Well, and I will say just one thing, and we could probably go down in this rabbit hole forever, but just for those people who don't really know how it works, Kick is backed by basically running on the background service that Twitch was built on. And when Amazon bought Twitch, that's basically why they bought Twitch, was to acquire the kind of background, and I'm blanking right now on what it actually is. What it actually is called, excuse me, but that's why Amazon bought it, was because they wanted the background, like how basically Twitch works, and then they sell that to people, and that's exactly what Kick is built on, is that same platform. And so Kick is somewhat limited, because while even if they were to get to the point where they have the same viewership and they have the same number of live streamers on their platform, their costs are I think it's somewhere in the ballpark of 6 to 8 times what Twitch's cost would be, because they're essentially paying they're paying Amazon for the rights to use that service. So their media rights cost is extremely high. Whereas, like I said, even if they grow to have the same viewership as Twitch, their costs are going to be so astronomically high. It'll be hard for them to survive. So, I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole of why Kick maybe won't work in the long term. But that's kind of a whole different topic. And, you know, again, I don't know that we want to get into that right now. Let's pivot a little bit. I know we talked about Kick a little bit. What about YouTube, Garrett, as a viable source for people switching to? I know we have some big creators. We have Courage. We have Dr. Lupo, Tim. We have some big creators that have switched to YouTube in the past few years. what have you seen from our creators and just in general as that being a viable source for people to stream on?
Yeah, so YouTube is going to be much more discoverable, which is absolute key. Yeah, I see you looking down. If you're reading chat right now, they're going crazy.
Shout out to the chatters, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys for coming through. YouTube is going to be much more discoverable, which that's the name of this game, right? Discoverability, trying to find people. And so what in the past, generally speaking, we would tell people is the best thing you could do. And this is stuff that, learning over the years, watching YouTube videos and trying to figure out the scene ourselves. You want to make long form content, and now a lot of short form content. This kind of even predates that, but make long form content on YouTube for discoverability, then push that to your audience to get them to come to you when you're live streaming on Twitch, right, or wherever at the time, Facebook, Mixer, it didn't matter. Now YouTube, and it's still relatively new, you can live stream on there. And when I say relatively new, talking about a couple years old. And they're constantly adding features and whatnot. So the discoverability is good, and you get to stay in one place. I love that. That's awesome. The downside to that, the only bad thing, and I see for cons, you have very poor discoverability. I see.
Well, just with live streaming in general, not necessarily with channels, but I don't know if you've watched any live streams on YouTube, but it can be very hard to find them. Especially like with YouTube Gaming. If you just go to the YouTube Gaming tab, unless you watch it all the time and the algorithm knows what you're kind of doing, it can be very challenging to find what you're looking for on there with live streaming specifically. I wouldn't disagree for people finding your channel through shorts and other things like that. But with talking about live streaming specifically.
Yeah, specifically, you're absolutely right. It is. And I think that's another con is like the UI and getting to that. And that was my biggest problem with Facebook for the longest time was like getting to a content creator that I want to watch and then interacting with them certain ways. So for example, we have this Game On Financial channel where the VOD of this podcast will be played. And I'm pretty much constantly logged into that account on YouTube. So when I browse YouTube, I'm just watching content, consuming like normal. That's the account I'm under. Well, then if I go into a live stream, we go follow one of our favorite creators or whatever. If I gift a membership, their memberships on YouTube compared to subs, but same thing. If I gift one or if I chat or anything like that, it just comes across as Game On Financial. I have to log out of Game On Financial into my personal account and do it that way. It's not the end of the world, especially because it's tied to Google and it's really easy, honestly, to get in and out. But like just little things like that is what separates Twitch and now Kick, because Kick, if for those who don't know, is everything Twitch is, but green. It looks exactly the same. Like when you go in there, the screens are all
the same exact system.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just green now instead of purple. YouTube and Facebook were just hard to navigate. They weren't as intuitive. Gifting subs like YouTube did. I don't even know does YouTube have the feature where you can gift subs? Because in the past,
it does now.
It does now,
but it's still not as great as the way Twitch works. And
it's
just
not
the chat,
home.
All these different features are a little bit different. I mean, I think the people who've switched and have moved their communities entirely, like like I said, Courage and Tim, some of these big creators, they're probably they're people that watch them consistently are probably used to that now. But if you're switching your entire audience from Twitch and maybe they're not as large, it can definitely be challenging.
Yeah, it's just not as intuitive. It doesn't feel like home. Like if you grew up and you were on Twitch, that's the biggest downside for YouTube is you could say all you want about Twitch and how like, a lot of things have changed over the years and it's gotten quote unquote worse. But when you go to Twitch, navigating that and figuring out like if you know who you're trying to watch and you've got your follows, the community aspect of that is so much better. It's so much better with bits, cheers, all that stuff, tipping, everything. So it feels like I said, it feels like home. YouTube does not. Facebook did not. I hated navigating Facebook. When we have Facebook creators, I don't like going to their streams, not because I don't like them, but because it's just so much more of a pain to get there, to interact, to do all those things. I think that's where Kick stands out, circling back to Kick, is it looks very similar. It's very much the same as Twitch, and it just feels much better. So yeah, I don't know. I think YouTube's great. There are a lot of good pros. The 70-30 sub split's great. Better than Twitch's, obviously. You can also, if I'm not mistaken, you can set the membership to whatever you want. So you can set the membership price to $1 if you just want to get interaction, just want people in there. They don't have to pay $5. That's good. Right. That's awesome.
Some people like the features, too. You do have the live VOD, right? You can back stuff up quickly. You can, all these different features. Also, I mean, YouTube being owned by Google with Google AdSense, YouTube is obviously a huge company, huge brand that other brands are willing to work with. I mean, you're going to be a lot easier to get, just to be able to work with brands on YouTube than obviously with this new situation with Twitch, and you're going to be able to do there. And then with Kick being new, not established, brands might be, hesitant to work with you there too. So just in general, I think it provides a good platform. I don't think there's probably, honestly, I'm surprised we don't see more people streaming on YouTube full time. We have creators that we work with, that we provide services to that have fully switched to YouTube and love it. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised you see more now that kind of the angle Twitch is going, and it's definitely a viable option. Garrett, I want to keep us moving because we are at about the 45-minute mark right now.
Mm-hmm.
To the CDL conversation. Obviously, we could probably talk esports and all that for forever, and I think we're probably going to have a podcast specifically dedicated to talking about esports and those orgs surrounding that. But big news this week. CDL basically, and I don't know that this is 100% confirmed.
I was about to say, is it news? Is it like true? Yeah. Like, did Hex come out and confirm? Because
so Hector commented. Basically, what we're talking about is YouTube. A tweet came out saying CDL, although they've been streaming for the past 2 years, all their events on Twitch, they in the first 2 years of their of the establishment of the CDL, they streamed on YouTube exclusively. And then this year, there was some stuff that came out earlier in the year talking about that they might be moving back to YouTube middle of this season, the current season, the Modern Warfare 2 season. And just, I guess it was yesterday or Tuesday, rather, two or three of the news pages, Jacob Hale and Deserto, some of these other pages, basically tweeted out that they were going to be moving back to YouTube for the 2023 or 2024 and 2025 seasons, I guess. So the next 2 games, basically. And I did see what you're talking about. Garrett Hex did tweet on it, responded to it, and said,
"How could it? No way." Yeah, I was about to say, how could we do this if we haven't even had the meeting yet?
But that being said, Nadeshot, which again, I don't know how involved Nadeshot is with the actual CDL meetings and that type of stuff, but Nadeshot did come out with a podcast. I think it was today. It was either late yesterday or today, talking about it and talking about the change and his opinion on it and everything. So, and he was saying in that basically he there's been talks of this for a while. So I think it's pretty well going to happen. I don't see why we would have heard about it all year long and then now it got leaked. Usually those pages are pretty correct. That being said, let's just talk about it a little bit of them moving there. For those of you who don't follow the CDL, it's the Call of Duty League. It's the esports league where people compete to play Call of Duty, the current Call of Duty game. And yeah, like I said, they've been streaming on Twitch for a couple years now. It's gone really, really well. We have a bunch of co-streams, Scump with the big co-stream, Watch Party, should I say, and Zuma with the big Watch Party. They're bringing in sometimes upwards of more viewers than the actual Call of Duty League stream. And yeah, now they might be moving back to YouTube. Garrett, what does that mean? What does that look like? And maybe why are they doing this?
Yeah, that's a really good question because this is obviously something we're very interested in. And so, and for a number of reasons.
We're going to answer it, Jake. We're going to answer here in a minute.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I was going to say to backtrack for a second to catch up chat. Jake was asking about CDL and YouTube. And Jake, it's hard for me to anybody listening. Like Joseph and I have my notes pulled up on the screen and kind of what we wanted to talk about, bulleted down. And I'm pretending like you can see that, but yes, that's one of the topics for today. We're obviously moving into that. J-Man said, I like the emote options on Twitch better. Yes, exactly. Like Twitch just feels better in general. So, I think a lot of people would relate to that, but yeah, getting back to the CDL, and Jake, that question the most recent question about Scump being able to co-stream, that's the big thing, right? Because the CDL, as good as the matches have been and fun to watch this year, because I've truly really enjoyed it this year. When it was on YouTube, co-streams were lame. Like if we could just be honest, the flank, Zuma, all like anything Zuma related, anything, Scump wasn't doing watch parties because he was competing, but like all of these watch parties and all that,
they couldn't show that. They couldn't show the stream, right? They couldn't show the actual.
It was lame. It was boring because you couldn't show it, and that's the big concern. Is like, can they show it this year? Well, probably not, and that's the big concern of moving back to YouTube. And that's why it's big news right now. Otherwise, this would be like, if they were just moving to YouTube and everybody could co-stream and be like, all right, we'll just all move to YouTube, whatever. Not, it wouldn't be quite that simple, but that I think people would be much more forgiving. As it is now, with Twitch coming out with these new rules, I think that impacts it. You know, like what kind of agreement do they have with Activision to show, you know, the CDL logo and the, you know, all these things on the screen? Like now they have to work with Activision to get all that done. Okay, that's one thing.
You're talking about, I think they definitely, I think they probably, the CDL being as large as it is, you know, being owned by Activision Blizzard, they probably do have a little bit of different conversations and organization with Twitch than, you know, a regular content creator. But I do think that this does play into probably their decision of some of these being able to roll these ads. You know, when you're watching the CDL and they come across with a Monster Energy ad, that's a burn-in ad. That's exactly what this Twitch thing is talking about that we just talked about for the first 20 minutes of the podcast today. So I definitely think that affects it. And I think that's something that people aren't really considering is like, them being able to do ads and all these things while, you know, they're paying Twitch for these media rights to be able to do it there. What do those numbers look like? And then basically on the other end of like YouTube basically paying them to do it there, while it may not be a lot of money, it basically cuts costs back for the CDL. And maybe they can recoup a little bit of that money that they might have been spending elsewhere to be able to run ads on Twitch or whatever it may be. So I think there's a lot of back end that probably the average viewer of the CDL doesn't really understand. But I mean, what kind of effect is that going to have, do you think, on, you know, on the average viewer on the CDL in general?
It's not good.
This was like a record breaking year for viewership on Twitch.
Yeah, it's not good, man. It's just not good. The CDL is literally trying its hardest to get, and they're like fighting literally tooth and nail to grow viewership, and they've done a great job with, you know, introducing ranked play and getting people in ranked, and then those ranked people want to watch the CDL more, and like they were doing a lot of the little things to get people more involved with the sport and watching it and the competition. And it's been so fun for me, but a big piece of that fun has come from the watch parties, not from the CDL itself. So like the CDL going to YouTube is one thing, sure, but it's the watch parties that I care about. And, you know, in my opinion, to answer your question very succinctly, I think it's going to hurt viewership. You know, I think YouTube numbers dropped. They went back to Twitch. Now if we go back to YouTube, especially for 2 years, you know, the second year will probably be better than the first, but that first year is just going to be like, you know, negative, another big word, succinctly. That means quickly, briefly. So I think it's going to hurt. Now, this brings up a good point, Joseph, because you and I have talked about this, and it's related to both all the topics we've talked about today. What do we have here? We have two giants battling for ownership of brand rights, brand deals, all this stuff. You have the publisher, Activision. You have Twitch, who's currently fighting for literally every piece of the pie that they can get. And now they're forming a contract saying like, hey, who can run these ads? Who's getting paid for it? And greedy Activision and greedy Twitch have to come to terms on who's going to get paid for that Monster Energy ad that you just talked about. That is so funny to me that, you know, all the player, we're all at, you know, the whim of these people. Like we are all just at the mercy of Activision and Twitch getting all this stuff done. And that is miserable. That is absolutely miserable. The only shining light in that is that the owners of the teams do have a say in it with a $25 million buy-in. I would hope so. But, you know, like Hex and Nadeshot and all those guys meeting up and basically saying like, we're going to take all of it to YouTube or to Twitch. Unless
I think what's scary about this is, and again, I think we're going to have a podcast specifically dedicated to talking about esports in general and why is it not working currently, why it can't make money. But I think the scary part about this whole thing is if you can't on Twitch this year with record-breaking numbers, I think Major One had something like 450,000 concurrent viewers, which was for a regular major, not even for Champs. I would hope Champs breaks that. You have people like Scumps co-streaming, watch partying with more viewers than your actual live stream, the Call of Duty live stream. If you can't monetize that as a league, as Activision running that league, if you can't monetize that, there's larger problems at hand. And while this whole thing, esports in general, whether it be the CDL, the OWL, or, you know, league, the LCS, these things, while it is ultimately all about viewership and it is about maintaining that viewership, um, it's these leagues' job and these teams' job to monetize these viewers, right? To get these sponsorships, to get these brands to work with them. And I think that's again, that's a whole nother topic that we go down. But it's pretty scary when you see Activision making a decision like this. The CDL basically saying we'll take the $5 to $10 million, whatever it is, over 2 years to work with, because at least reportings were saying that it wasn't very much money, which I know obviously $10 million is a lot of money, but comparatively speaking to $1 billion company like Activision, it's not. Um, and they're saying we'll take this $5 or $10 million over here, basically just to guarantee us a little bit of income. That's scary because that shows that they can't monetize the viewership on Twitch, and there's bigger problems at hand. Which again,
Yeah.
there's so many things. The franchise fees conversation, we can talk about all that probably next week when we talk about esports and the organization side. But it's definitely interesting. And just Jake, for you in the chat, those questions you were asking about them being able to stream it. Honestly, I would not doubt that we see, just with the success of Scump and Zuma alone, I would not doubt that we see them stream those events from YouTube and just bite the bullet, because or maybe go live on Twitch, wait till they have 20K viewers, and then say, hey, everybody go to YouTube and link it in the chat and switch completely, because um, those were such a big hit this year. And I agree with your point in chat. It was fun to be able to watch it from their perspective, get good insight on from a pro and those types of things. I don't ever watch the Call of Duty League stream. I always watch a watch party so I can hear what they have to say. So you're definitely right, and I would not doubt that we see that. I can tell you there's no shot with this new basically thing that came out from Twitch. They're going to let them stream the YouTube stream on Twitch. That's not going to be a thing. So
Jake,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It goes even further than that, though. I mean, even with Twitch's new guidelines, and we were referring to this earlier, but with, Scump, Optic, all the sponsorships that they have, you're talking about Oakley, Scuff, all that stuff, showing the logos on the screen and stuff like that. I just don't see I don't see the future where Scump and them can do that on Twitch or on YouTube. Because on YouTube, they're not going to be able to live stream the event itself, not in a way that's enjoyable for the viewers, unless they figure it out. Hey, if they're creative and they find a way, then, I'll be happy to admit I was wrong. But
what I will say is I would not doubt that Scump's agent is currently working right this minute on getting him a YouTube deal.
Oh, he's going crazy
to pay him.
Yeah,
I would not doubt that at all. And I would not doubt that we see those same announcement videos like we saw with Tim and these other creators of saying Scump's going to YouTube, because
Zuma's going to YouTube.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it, because Scump was getting upwards of 135, 140K viewers on some of these live streams. I don't think that he's going to just not get that because he wants to stay on Twitch that bad.
Before I know we're running short on time, Joseph, what sway does that give Optic in these owner meetings and stuff like that, when Optic always pulls the most viewers? Optic and FaZe are always going to pull the most viewers, and Scump alone is pulling more than the CDL itself. And so, like, when they go into these meetings, what do you think that's like? I truly would like to be a fly on the wall, because Scump's not in the owners meeting. It's going to be Hex that's in there. I don't know who else outside of Hex, just Hector.
Probably
because
Castro. Yeah,
but because I don't know how many people they want like in one room from all the different teams, but
sure,
it's interesting to me. I really do wonder how much sway that gives Optic, considering they're pulling a ton of views and they're leading the way when it comes to really getting the CDL viewership in general. And
well, to answer your question, and again, I think this really goes into a deeper point of a deeper problem within just esports as a whole. Is it does give them a lot of sway, but not really for the league and what happens within the league, more so just what happens with them. Because what these brands and what these orgs are dependent upon to survive is that sponsorship revenue, is that brand image that they have. Why is it that Optic Gaming is so popular? Because they have successfully done this. Why do you hear about all the time about the Optic players on the Optic Texas team and the CDL bitching about having to do content days? It's because Optic has figured out, Optic has figured out, and Hex has figured out, this is the only way we can survive. This is the only way we can make money, is if we have our players basically, if we build this aura around our players and we build this storyline of who our players are, what our team's about, what our brand is about, and they've done it successfully, of course. And I would say even then they've still struggled, right? They've still struggled with the money aspect, and I'd be really interested to know what the financial backing on that thing looks like. I mean, obviously they merged with the Dallas Empire last year or 2 years ago, excuse me, and that, so obviously there had to be money issues there. But to answer your question in short, it gives them sway, but only so much. That they need the league in general needs every team doing that, and it's a tough thing because
well, Activision runs everything, right? So I mean, they have limited sway, right? Because the game developer themselves, the publisher, owns owns all of it, and they're the ones at the end of the day have the final say. Versus something like the NFL, where all 32 teams, the owners of those teams own the NFL collectively. It's just one, and everybody blames.
And again, this is getting us down into the nitty gritty of how
that's another topic. We don't have time for. That's a very good one though, Joseph. In that, like, I don't think people understand. Well, it goes back to your question, and we can talk about this next week. But that should be the thing. The main theme is, you talk about why can't we monetize when we have 400K concurrent viewers, this and that,
right?
And it's because Activision's monetizing it. Activision's making money off of it. If there's money to be made, which the argument is that there really isn't, because the league itself just isn't profitable. But let's talk about that next week. I think that's a very good topic, because that, when you compare that to other games and stuff, it's interesting to see across the board, how it's all set up and how it's run.
Definitely. No, that's going to be a topic we're going to talk about and dive into deep for sure, because I don't think a lot of people know that. And we love esports, we love the CDL, we love all these other leagues, and we love watching it, but I don't think a lot of people know kind of the back end of it and how really it's a pretty struggling industry currently. Let's hop into our last little segment before we hop off. I know we have we're hitting right at an hour right now.
Chat, we lost him again. So to anybody listening, it doesn't even look like I'm moving off screen. So hopefully we're still live, but to anybody listening, let's refresh here. Oh no, is this my issue? No, say it ain't so. Ben, can you still hear me? You hear me? Okay. Yeah, we may have lost Joseph. The internet, so he's at the office right now. The internet cut out, I think. It may have, I don't know. Because I lost him in Discord. They got him. Yeah, I know, they got him. So in closing, basically what we want to do is go over a question that we get asked quite a bit. I don't know, hopefully you guys can see. I can hear you, but Joseph seems, we lost Joseph. Well, it's weird because the live stream itself kind of cut off. The one I had pulled up. I thought he just Discorded me, but he didn't. Anyway, the last thing we wanted to close out with was a question we get a lot. Do I need an agent? And this is for content creators who are probably starting to really get their brand going and all that. You don't need an agent like when you first start right away. You have no concurrent viewership. You have nothing to prove, no deliverable, no nothing like that. There's no reason to have an agent. But as you get going, maybe you hit 50, 100, 150 concurrent viewers, you start kind of building your actual community itself. As you start building that, it's definitely worth looking into getting an agent. And the reason why is I'm going to call it free money. It's not free money, but having an agent, generally speaking, agents don't get paid unless you do. So if they bring you a deal, you fulfill the contract, let's say one brand that like I see everybody have is Manscaped, right? So if Manscaped came to me through my agent right now and said, hey, we need you to mention our product 4 times in the next month in videos that get at least 100 views or something like that, whatever. If I do it, I get paid. So all I have to do is do that work, mention them, say, hey, sponsored by Manscaped, would love for you to check out the product. If they do it, my manager collects the money, takes his cut, his or her cut, gives it to me, and I got money for just doing the work. And generally speaking, different contracts require different things. So the work may or may not be worth the money, all that stuff. But that's the point of the agent, right? The agent will come through and tell you, hey, this is a good one. We should do this. We should hop on this one. But the real kicker, or the real point here is that if you don't fulfill the contract, or if you don't have a contract or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, the agent doesn't get paid. You don't come out of pocket any money unless the agent gets paid, generally speaking. Now, there are companies that charge management fees, and I would avoid those in the beginning, because a lot of times I've seen creators paying, $45,000 a year just to work with an agency, and they be back. I don't want to exit out, because if I cut him, it's going to cut that and just show Discord. Let me do this. Let's try something. Try something on the podcast here. Do I have anything in? No, I don't. Okay. So that's my computer background you guys are looking at. I think my Discord just stopped working. No joke. Like, I think that's the problem here. But anyway, back on topic. If the agent's not getting paid, only, unless you fulfill the stuff, all that stuff, if that's the type of deal that you have arranged with them, and for most small content creators, that'll be exactly what it is. They bring you a deal. It's $1,000. They get 20%. So you're going to walk away with $800, provided you fulfill the contract. That's fantastic. Do that all day long, right? If it's one where, you have to sign up for a monthly fee and they promise they'll try and send you some deals, I don't know about that. That's, you want to talk to me in Discord? Yeah, Jake, I'd love to. I think the problem is I can't get my Discord to work. I think that's my problem. I hear stuff coming in and out from Discord, but we'll try and force close it here. And it's not showing up. Yeah, I might be the problem. We hear it too. Yeah, something's going on. I don't know, but ultimately, as far as the agents go, you may or may not need one. Once you start getting to that point, though, I would definitely look. Once you start getting to like 100 CCV, concurrent viewers, 50 CCV, you may want to look into getting an agent that charges based on the deal that you get. They only get paid if you get paid. That's the route I would go. One very popular one that I'm pretty sure this is still the case. I haven't talked to Alex about his pricing or anything like that in some time. Shout out Alex Melendez. He works with Dulcetto. Generally speaking, with Alex's contracts, a lot of times they basically act as your agent, collect the money, take their cut, give you the money. And that is very, very good. And Alex does a fantastic job. I've heard nothing but good things about him from the community. I've heard of other agencies, and I'm not going to mention them on here or anything, but they basically charge an exorbitant amount of money, and they have gotten a lot of our creators practically no deals. I would avoid that. I would avoid anything where they're going to charge you monthly, this or that, because oftentimes they'll charge you monthly in addition to taking a cut of your money from a deal. It's probably a no-go for me, because there's no incentive for them to get the job done. They're collecting a monthly fee, and if they do get a job done, they just get a little bit more. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Monthly fees should be paid for, things that you have to do that, you may not want to do, that happen in the background. And a financial result isn't necessarily dependent on whether or not they perform their job. I hear he's trying. It's my Discord. I don't know what's going on. I could technically cut the stream there. Let me see. We'll try one more thing. And I literally have like fly in my room buzzing. Basically, I want to bring Joseph back on just so he can tell everybody bye. My computer's bugging right now. It's me. But I am going to just cut it there. I do appreciate everybody for coming out. Chat, thank you for being here so much. Ben, I don't know if you're still listening. I really appreciate you coming through. Jake, J-Man, get off the stream, get back to work. Jake, Rhett, everybody else. Ben, you're the man. You got to get on here sometime. Get those terms to us and tell us what we can and can't talk about so that we can get you on here. And then everybody else, hey, we appreciate you guys coming through. We love you guys. Thank you for the support. We had more viewers this time than we did last time, which is a good sign for us. Let's do a podcast about anything. Jake, we can get you on here, bro. Oh, I'm on it. Compliance departments, man. Hey, dude, the problem being with financial anything, accounting anything, legal anything is the barriers and the hurdles you have to get through just to hop on and talk. It's annoying. I get it. Like just random talks. Bro, Jake, I'll stream just our Discords, bro. I'll be in Discord here in a minute. So if you want to talk, we can. But outside of that, thank you everybody for coming through. We really appreciate you guys. I'll probably be streaming maybe later tonight, maybe tomorrow. Come through and say, hey, see you guys.